Hi, if you are considering converting a portable storage building into a do-it-yourself tiny home, then I hope this video will be very helpful for you, because that's what I want to talk about in this video. I'm going to turn the camera around and show you inside of a portable building, a couple of different portable buildings, and tell you about the questions you should be asking when you are considering a portable building. All right, would this building make a great tiny home conversion project for me? So let me turn the camera around and let's get started. I'm inside of a portable building. By the way, up front, I sell Graceland portable buildings, so I am slightly biased, right, towards their buildings. But regardless of whether you decide on a portable building from Graceland, that's irrelevant. These questions are pertinent no matter what kind of portable building you are considering, if it would make a great building to start your tiny home project. So yeah, I think a portable building is definitely the way to start a good, fast tiny home project. It'll let you get into a building quickly. And then all you need to focus on as a do-it-yourselfer or a contractor, you can get somebody and contract people to do it, is you need to focus on 1, electrical, 2, plumbing, and 3, insulation, all of those things. Now, some of you don't want electrical. You're going to be on off-gridder. Okay, you still need to think about plumbing and insulation. Those are super important things. And if you get a well-built portable building from a reputable company, then a lot of your hassle has been taken care of for you. You've got a shell of a building that's quality, then all you need to focus on is the insulation, the plumbing, and the electrical. All right, so let's start off by talking about what you should be thinking about. Question number 1, do you want a porch or not? I'm inside of a building that has a porch on it, okay? The question I ask about porches is because you are sacrificing interior square footage for exterior square footage, all right? Keep that in mind. All portable buildings, that porch means you are losing this space right here that could have been interior space, and now it's a porch. How important is a porch to your do-it-yourself tiny home dreams, okay? And there are different styles of porches, and I'll show you some of those here in a little bit. But the first question, do you want a porch or not? Okay, super important question to ask. Next, super important question is, do you want a lofted building or not? This is a non-lofted building, and this one's really small. It would be more like a hunting cabin or a really tiny home. But this is a non-lofted building. Inside of a non-lofted building, especially by Graceland, you're going to find roof trusses that look like this, big A-frame triangle style roof trusses, and your walls are going to be taller in a non-lofted building. In a Graceland building, it's just under 8 feet tall. It's like 94 inches to the top of that wall. Okay, so that's a non-lofted building. Taller walls, different style of roof truss, your standard A-frame or triangle style roof truss. All right, now I'm going to go over to a lofted building and show you the difference. Okay, here is a lofted building, and this one has 0 porch, so you get maximum interior square footage. Plus you actually maximize the square footage with 2 lofts inside of it. But I want to show you what a lofted building looks like. Now you have shorter walls. Okay, I want you to see that. These shorter walls are about 6'3" to 6'4", somewhere around 6'4" almost, okay? So you have a shorter wall, but you get a loft. You get 2 lofts. Depending on how big the building is, you're gonna get a loft on one end and a loft on the other end. The roof trusses are very different. You got the barn style roof, and therefore these lofts are very important in the lateral stability of your building. So if you're gonna remove your lofts because you want more headroom, well, I just want you to consider how important those cross members are for the lofts in keeping the lateral stability of the building. We do put a cross member here, another cross member there, but those lofts actually are a very important part of the lateral stability. When you lose the A-frame style roof truss, you have to make it up with something else to provide lateral stability. Okay, so keep that in mind. And the other thing was to keep in mind is you got shorter walls. So for us, in a Graceland building, if you're standing underneath this loft right here, if you're 6'3", you can clear. If you're 6'4", you're gonna hit your head. At 6'3", you're gonna feel like you're hitting your head. All right, so keep that in mind. And then for us, that's at about 6'11" right here, and your headroom underneath that roof truss from here to there, about 3'8". Okay, so that's your headroom up there in the lofted area. Those are the things you need to be considering first questions. Loft or no loft, porch or no porch. Next, let's talk about your options. You can get windows put inside of your portable building, and usually any portable building company will customize and place them wherever you want. So you should be considering What windows do you want? A standard window is a 2x3 window. And Graceland offers a 2x3 and a 3x3, a big square window. And we offer them in single pane or double pane. And most any other company is probably going to offer the same things. So what I'd highly recommend for the do-it-yourself tiny crowd is get a double pane window. It's a better insulated window. Okay, now if you're thinking, I'm just going to replace that window with my own windows, then get the single pane. It'll save you some money. And they will have already done the work to frame it up. All right. So those are the next questions is windows and doors. What kind of doors do you want? A standard door is going to be 36 inches wide. In a lofted building for us, the door is going to be 72 inches tall because we have shorter walls. In a non-lofted building, it's going to be standard height of a door of 80 inches tall, 36 by 80, okay? So your door options are, do you want windows in the door? That's called a 9-light door. Or do you just want a solid door, okay? Those are your two options. Most people are not going to opt for a barn-style door, whether it's a single or a double barn-style door, because they don't seal up against, airtight. They're not airtight. Well, they can be if you put some weather sealing on, but they're just usually not what people are looking for in a do-it-yourself tiny home. However, I'm going to show you on double barn doors what some people consider doing. Let me find one with double barn doors. It's, here we go, a couple of them here. You can open up a double barn door building. That's 72 inches wide. You can replace, they are still a nicely framed, in the Graceland building, they are nicely framed up buildings, or doors. You could replace those double barns and put in some French doors if you wanted. That'd be up to you. If you're in the do-it-yourself tiny home person, well, if you're like that, then you might consider doing that, right? So that is the one time I would say to a do-it-yourselfer, yeah, you might want to consider the double barn doors if you're going to just replace them. All right, those are the first series of questions you need to be thinking about. Windows, doors, porches, and lofts. Next, let's talk about build quality. I'm going to go back inside that first building. Or actually, let's go and show you another porch and then talk about build quality. So I showed you one porch style. That one right there, we call that a cabin. It's a 4-foot porch. We also offer different types of cabins. This one is called a wrapped porch. It's really pretty. It's eye-catching. That's why I have it facing the highway. It catches lots of eyes. It would make a great hunting cabin. But again, you are sacrificing interior square footage for all of this really beautiful porch square footage. It's a nice porch, and if it's important for you to hang out on a porch, you got one built in, all right? So that's one style of porch. The other style of porch, another style of porch that we offer, is this one called a side porch cabin. That is only offered in a non-lofted building, okay? But you got this giant porch that runs the entire side of the building, and we make it as big as a 16 by 40. This one's only 16 by 24, so almost twice as long if you want to. But again, beautiful porch, but you're sacrificing your interior square footage for this nice porch square footage. All right, let's talk about build quality. That is really the next most important series of questions that you should be wondering about. If you're going to convert a portable building into a tiny home, you need to start with the best build quality that you can. This thing needs to last for many, many, many years. And it needs to be built like a home would be built. So plywood needs to be in the walls. Plywood needs to be in the floors. First thing, a lot of companies out there don't put plywood in their walls and floors. So you need to be looking for that. Ours is 5/8 inch thick plywood in the walls and floors, and it's all treated lumber. Everything you're looking at, not just the plywood walls and floors, the 2x4s, the 2x6s up here, 2x6s underneath the floors, all of it's premium, all of it is treated, and it comes with a limited but a lifetime warranty, all right? We do buy the premium grade of lumber, which costs us more to buy that, but it gives you a better build quality for your building. So like I said, if you're gonna convert it into a tiny home, you wanna start with the best build quality that you can get because it needs to last. All right, so walls need to be double reinforced at the top. Some companies don't double reinforce. We also space our wall studs 16 inches apart, and we double reinforce them every third wall stud or every 4 feet. Okay, so double reinforced. Right? Keep that in mind. The more wall studs in a wall, the stronger the wall. We put a lot of wall studs in ours because we double reinforce and they're only 16 inches apart. A lot of other companies space them further apart, 24 inches apart. And they may or may not double reinforce, so they use less wall studs, meaning their wall isn't as strong as ours. Next, your window frames. They need to be double reinforced window frames at a minimum, okay? Minimum of double reinforced. Same thing with your door frames. They need to be double reinforced at a minimum. Okay? Why does it need to be double reinforced? It's a portable building. It's going to move, so there's going to be flex in the building as it's being brought down the highway to your place. That means if they're single reinforced, there's going to be a lot of flex, and it gets to your place, that door and window is probably not going to open and shut like it's supposed to. Double reinforced frames on your doors and windows means that window should open and shut properly like it's supposed to. So you need to look for that in your build quality, all right? Double reinforced at the top of the walls, that's a bare minimum. A lot of companies don't do that. And then metal hurricane clips that attach the roof truss to the wall. A lot of companies don't use metal hurricane clips. This is like, if you were building a home, this is how it would be done by your contractor. But the other portable building companies, a lot of them just use nails or screws or lag bolts to attach the roof truss to the walls, to the tops of the walls. Metal hurricane clips are part of the reason we offer 150 mile an hour wind gust certification on our buildings. If a strong enough gust of wind comes along on a building that doesn't have metal hurricane clips, that roof could pull right off of there. All right, I mean, technically it could be pulled off of any building if the wind gust is strong enough, okay? But this is the way it would be built if it was a home, all right? And that's how we build them as a portable building at Graceland. All right, next thing, let's talk about your, I forgot to mention while I'm talking about the roof, is this. We put a ventilation system inside of every one of our buildings. You need to be thinking about how are you gonna ventilate, all right? That's a super important question. We put a soffit ventilation system all along the sidewalls of both the left and right sides of our building. And then that airflow goes up through our screened in roof ridge vent. Screened in to keep out bugs and debris. So we've got an airflow that helps in the hot, humid summer times, all right? So you need to be thinking about ventilation inside of your portable building that you're gonna convert to a tiny home. Now, roof trusses. You should have 2x4 roof trusses. Ours are premium grade. And your roof trusses should be attached using metal hurricane clips. The roof itself should be 5/16 OSB roof decking or thicker, not those little 1-inch wood slats that are spaced apart. A solid sheet of roof decking. On the outside should be the metal roof, and there should be a moisture barrier between the metal roof and the roof decking. We offer this optional interior upgrade to the roof called the radiant barrier upgrade. That is, if you were having a roof built for you by your roofing contractor, they would put that radiant barrier in it standard. Any kind of living space should have that radiant barrier. It reflects out the sun's radiant heat, about 97% of the sun's radiant heat. It's reflected out through the radiant barrier. So that's definitely something you should consider. I wouldn't get a portable building without that if I was going to live in it, if I was going to convert it to a tiny home. Okay, super important thing for you to consider. Next, let's talk about the floors. You should have plywood in the floors. It should be treated, and it should be put together using tongue and groove, so all the plywood slabs are interlocked. So though you see seams, it should, because it's tongue and groove, they interlock together. Bugs that are underneath the building cannot get up through that seam because it's really not a seam. They cannot get through that, all right, which is important for airflow as well. So a seamless gapless floor if it's interlocked tongue and groove. It's the only way to build a floor. If they don't interlock it with tongue and groove, the plywood slabs are all independent and they can pull apart from each other, which is terrible for your floor because the floor can get wet, all right, and that can cause the plywood to want to pull away. So interlocked tongue and groove helps reduce that from happening. Next thing, and this is a question you probably don't think about, is what do they use to put this together? If they just use regular nails that are not galvanized, then the nail heads eventually are going to rust and pull away, and then the plywood slabs could pull away from each other, especially if they didn't use tongue and groove to put them all together. We use galvanized nails that are ring shank nails, so they hold like a screw. But they're galvanized, they won't rust, so they're really, really strong, and they're the way to build a floor like this, all right? In fact, that's the only kind of nails we use anywhere in the building are galvanized ring shank nails. They won't rust and they hold like screws. Super important, but it's a question you probably don't think about. But now you will, I hope, when you're looking at your portable building to convert it to a tiny home, ask these questions. Do you use galvanized ring shank nails? All right, now underneath the floor, let's talk about your subfloor. We use 2x6 floor joists like you see in this loft. 2x6s. A lot of other companies use 2x4s. Smaller floor joists means a weaker floor. We use 2x6s, which is standard. If you hired a flooring company to build your subfloor, that's what they would use, 2x6s. And Like our wall studs, we space them out 16 inches apart. Some other companies may space them further apart, and they may only use 2x4s and not 2x6s. So those are questions you should be asking. So what's in the subfloor? Next question you should be thinking about is underneath that building. So I'm going to get out here and show you. You have these 4x6 runners. Any building that's of considerable width should have at least 4 of them. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and in Graceland that's the maximum number of runners that are going to go underneath that building. But that should be a treated wood runner. Ours is treated. They're 4x6s. They will not sit on the ground like you see here. On my lot, they're going to just sit on the ground. At your site, they will not go on the ground. You're going to set this building on top of concrete pads or concrete blocks. Now, how high do you want to set those concrete blocks? That's up to you. And for a Graceland building, we'll stack them as high as you want. You have to supply the blocks, but we'll stack them. And when I say as high as you want, 3 feet, all right? That's about as high as we'll go, all right? But most people don't even need it 3 feet. But you do have to consider how tall you want it off the ground, because you're probably going to want to get underneath this building to put some sort of insulation underneath, to put maybe a moisture barrier, and also maybe to run plumbing. So you need enough space that you can get underneath there and do those things. And we'll stack your concrete blocks 2 to 3 feet high if you want them that high. So that's the next thing you need to consider, is what am I going to do underneath that building, and how am I going to get underneath there? Our delivery crews will set the blocks up and stack them and get them 2 to 3 feet high if that's how tall you want them. All right. Now let's think about what else you need to consider. The paint or not. For Graceland, we offer a non-painted siding. It's T111 siding when it's non-painted. And so that means it's actually slightly thicker than 5/8 inches thick, but it is just stained. We call our stain color honey gold. It is not a paint, so you would have to restain it every other year or so, or every year you'll have to restain it. So it's worth considering, are you going to paint it yourself? And if so, then get an exterior paint that can handle the weathering. If you're not going to paint it yourself, then you should consider having it painted already by your portable building company. So this is non-stained. Here's a building with a urethane stain on it. It's a very similar color, but this is an exterior urethane paint. Graceland uses PPG for their paint supplier, and our PPG paints come with a 10-year adhesion warranty and a 25-year warranty on the paint job, okay? So it's a well-known and reputable paint company. But I just wanted you to see the difference. This is our one of our urethane colors, and that is a non-painted, just a standard stain building. And here's a different color of paint. So you got different paint options, and you should consider that. If you are truly a do-it-yourself, or you may just wish to paint it yourself, good for you. If you're wanting to save a little bit of time, you could have it painted by the portable building company while it's at their plant. So there's different. Here's another urethane color that we have. All right. So I just want you to think about paint colors, and of course your metal roof. Most of your portable buildings are going to come with a metal roof. You can get a shingled roof. All right. I would not recommend a shingled roof, but some people don't like the sound of rain on a metal roof, so they want the shingles because it's quieter. That's fine. And the reason I don't recommend the shingled roof is simply because these are portable buildings. They're going to be brought to your lot on the highway at highway speeds. So think about a shingled roof driving down the highway at 60 miles an hour. Those little shingles could blow right off of there. So like 99% of the buildings I sell are metal roof buildings. That's what most of the people want, and I highly recommend that. Okay. It's also just a longer lasting roof. All right, so those are the things that I believe you need to be considering in starting your do-it-yourself tiny home project. I highly recommend starting with a quality-built portable building, and then considering doing all the options inside. That way, all you have to focus on is your insulation, your electrical, and your plumbing, and how tall you want the building off the ground. That gets you off to the ground with a running start and gets you to a completed tiny home project faster. If you have any questions, take a look at this video description, and there's going to be links to my phone number. You can message me, call me, you can message me on YouTube, or you can message me on Facebook. All right, take care.